And welcome back to another fight week.
Thank
How you
you.
feeling? Feeling good?
Feeling good. Feeling good. Yeah, got a good few weeks leading up to this fight, and good camping, and I'm excited.
Did you come out here any extra early because of altitude, or is that something that you don't really worry about?
I did come out here a little early. We came out Saturday.
Okay.
So
So
been
a
out
few
here.
extra days. Yeah.
Yeah, been out here for a few extra days. Just trying to get used to the altitude. It hasn't been anything too rough, but yeah, it's just one of those things. I live at 600 feet above sea level, so coming up over 5,000, it's a little bit different.
From
Yeah,
Jersey.
yeah.
How often have you had to deal with that before in your career? I mean, I didn't look back at the resume and go, "Well, how often has he fought it up high?"
I think this is really the first time that I fought, at any altitude. This
Wow.
will be, yeah, a majority of my fights, it's Jersey, Vegas, Texas.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I haven't had to deal with that yet. So
So you knew enough well, let's make sure that it's not a super problem come Saturday night. So we'll get out there a few days early. But you've been around this game so long that you probably aren't super stressed about it either, are you?
yeah, I'm not really concerned with it. It's one of those things. I'm in great shape right now. So I've had experience at altitude, just not fighting at it. And if you're in shape, it shouldn't be an issue.
Fine, yeah. A little bit more of a layoff this time than your last fight. At this point in your career, is that a good thing? Does that help you to heal up any little nagging things that are going on? Refresh the batteries?
The time off, I wanted to fight sooner. And I did get 2 offers on the opposite side of the world on short notice, and I just wasn't able to do it. I had a pretty busy fall. Moving 4 kids out of a house that's too small for us, putting the house in the market, all that stuff, getting into a new one. It's just been crazy. it's been
real life stuff.
Yeah, real life stuff, like real dad stuff, and just the BS that everybody's got to deal with a time or two in their life, and that kept me out of the gym for a little bit. But if I had that opportunity, like, hey, 5-6 weeks, you're doing it, like, I would have been able to do it. Yeah, the time off was good, and sometimes it's necessary. But at the same time, it's I don't get to fight as often as I want.
Yeah.
I'd rather it would have been November or something like that too.
Well, you're definitely going to be saying that these days. I mean, after the the rough stretch that you did have, 3 out of 4, all 3 finishes in those fights. Does it feel a lot better to be thinking about the next one when you're in a situation like you have in the last couple fights?
Yeah, definitely. The results of the last few have been great for me, and I just always, if I have the opportunity to fight, I want to fight. It's not very often that I turn things down. So, like I said, the 2 that I got offered, one in, was it the Singapore card that was on like a week and a half, and then Russia on a few weeks. So it was like, if it had been a little bit more time to kind of get into the grind of things, I would have done it. Yeah, like I'd like to fight every 3 months. Like like I said, there have been times where I definitely needed some time off, but I'm here to fight. That's what I want to do. I'd be at 40 or more at this point if I could have fought as often as I wanted to.
Do you start looking at, you mentioned 40, do you start looking at round numbers, like in terms of your whole career, and say, man, I'm coming up on 50 total fights.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty sweet.
You do think about it. It does pop into mind. It's not one of those things that, like, it's not going to be like my crowning achievement. It's not going to be the biggest thing that I remember about my fighting career. but it is cool, and it's one of those things that the times are changing. It is getting harder to fight as often, unless you're Donald Cerrone. You know, like he just gets the offers, you know. But it's just one of those things. It's a cool stat. Like, I mean, I think that Cerrone and I will get up there a few more, and you know, a few of the other guys that are right behind us. Some of them may be able to you know, to keep up, and you know, I know that guy like Damian Maia, who's right behind us, you know, he's planning on getting out. So we'll see. You know, I did have the idea, like, yeah, maybe like we'll get to like 40, you know, 39, and then we'll fight each other at 40 again. You know, so
That would be something.
Yeah, it would be cool. Or it's like, you know, UFC 300. It's like, you know, it's not too far away either. So fight on 100, 200, and 300. Now that'd be pretty neat.
That would be crazy right there. Well, talk to me a little bit about getting the call for Scott Holtzman, because he's a guy who I think some people look at as kind of an up and comer still,
Mm-hmm.
but you guys are a month apart in age. You're the
Mm-hmm.
same age. It's just you got started in this thing way before
Yeah.
he did.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about a little bit about what he brings to the table, and sort of what you thought when his name was on the other end of the phone.
You know, he's a dangerous dude. You know, I mean, talented fighter. He is. Yeah, we're about the same age. And I did get into the game, you know, a bit before him, and have a bit more experience. But that doesn't take anything away. You know, it's still a fight, and you know, I'm looking at this fight like I look at every other fight. You know, like it's a dangerous opponent that's, you know, is trying to beat me up. So, you know, it's the same thing every time. I'm just trying to get myself into the best shape that I can get into, be the best me when I step into the octagon, and capitalize on the things that I'm good at on fight night.
The way you've been submitting people, your last 3 wins, now you have a guy who has never been finished as a pro. Is that the kind of thing that you think about going into it, or because you've done this so long and you've been in there with every type of opponent imaginable, you just say, yeah, he's never been finished, so I'll be the first one?
He wouldn't be the first guy that hasn't been finished that I've finished. So, you know, it's a fight, and yeah, I don't think about those things. You know, my goal when I step into the octagon with him is to fight my fight and prevent him from, you know, making the fight his style, and he's got to stop me from doing that too. So, yeah, you know, we're gonna meet in the center of the octagon on Saturday, and you know, anything that's any little stat like that, it doesn't matter once the leather starts flying.
Are you able to kind of put a finger on what's been clicking for you recently? And then I guess the follow-up to that is, do you kind of mark your career as 3 phases, maybe, like pre-Lyme disease, the time when you had it but didn't know it, and then post knowing that you had it and learning how to manage it? I mean, does that make sense?
It does make sense. You know, it's hard not to. It's hard not to, like, think back to some of the fights and be like, man, you know, like I should have been at home in bed as opposed to training and fighting and doing the things that I was doing. It took a good amount of effort to kind of get it to the point where I got my athleticism back. You know, for a time there, even after I was diagnosed, it took a while. It took about 2 years of medication and you know, diet changes and stuff like that to get back to the point where I could do sprints and not be banged up for 3 days, lift, you know, and again, not be banged up. Like, it was bullshit. You know, it's just one of those things. Like, I wish it didn't happen, but it did, and you know, I feel like I've come out on the other side of it better because I know what it's like to be dealing with, that stuff, and I know what it's like to have my body not wanting to do anything and then still fighting. So like, yeah, I mean, because there was a time where I was like, where I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, man, did I become a wuss? Like, like, what's going on? I didn't know, and it got to the point where like I avoided training hard because it just hurt. Everything hurt, and that's not me. Like what I'm good at, and the reason that I've been able to take a decent amount of fights on, a few weeks, a month, just over a month, where some of my peers shy away from that, is because I'm able to push myself. Like I enjoy it. I sometimes can't prevent myself from, going hard and blowing my lungs out and getting the most out of stuff. And I got to a point where like I was avoiding that, and I knew it was uncharacteristic of who I am, but I didn't know why. And then it like I said, we got it figured out, and it took a while. It was like I went from the lowest of the lows in the beginning of 2016 to like a little bit better, and that little bit better was huge. But that little bit better still wasn't anywhere near where I needed to be, and like it was a little bit of a roller coaster. Things came back. It decided to get its revenge on me, and made things tough in 2017, and it felt like finally, like beginning of 2018 is when my head kind of became above water. Yeah. And
a couple more wins, and we'll stop asking you about it.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, hopefully,
mirror.
hopefully we'll get to that point someday, where past is past, and it's just one of those. It's been my road, like I can't change it. I'm not the type. I don't want to whine about it. I don't want to necessarily talk about it too much. I do want to, because I want to make it apparent to people that this is a problem. And like, I mean, I dealt with it as an adult, and being a kid, thinking of children getting it and stuff like that, and completely just ruining their lives. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to be vocal about it, and I'm willing to talk about it, as opposed to say, hey, let's move on.
Yeah.
But like I said, I feel like it helped me learn a bit more about myself, and not that I feel like I had a skewed perspective, but it definitely helped really kind of put things into a full perspective.
For sure.
of just how crazy things can get.